Hey everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of Fly Fish University TV. My name is Jordan Ulrich, and let's say that you are maybe in your first year of fly fishing, you're just starting out, or you're kind of on the fence and you're like, well, I'd like to get started or I'd like to get going, but I think it's going to cost too much money, it's going to take too much time. Those are probably the two biggest myths that I've heard about people getting started or not getting started in fly fishing. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money, it doesn't have to take up a lot of time, but what I'm going to go over today is 5 steps that I would suggest that you take. Okay, so if you're just starting out, or maybe fly fishing, you've been doing it for some time, but it just is not making a lot of sense to you, you're not catching fish on a regular basis like you and everybody else would like to, I really think that you're going to love today's episode. 5 things that if I had to start over, if I could go back 15 years and I had to start again, okay, these 5 things would really help fast track me in fly fishing. Okay, these 5 things would make fly fishing exponentially easier. They would save me a lot of time, money, embarrassment. No word of a lie there. When I started out, it was nothing short of a dumpster fire, okay? At times, right? It was really fun to learn, but I often found myself really frustrated. So I'm going to help you, especially, I want you to listen closely. If you're in your first year of fly fishing, I really think that the 5 things that I'm going to share today are really going to help you out. Okay, so the very first one is, I would say, buy your equipment from a specialty shop, okay, a specialty fly fishing store that is applicable to the fisheries that you're going to be spending the most time on. Okay, why is it important? Why did I mention a fly shop rather than just any store? The reason is that you're going to get specialized knowledge, okay? My first job in the fly fishing industry, I was 17 years old, and I started at a fly shop that I had been shopping at for some time. Now, I didn't know a ton, but it was amazing how diligent they were in making sure that I knew what I was talking about before I tried to sell something to somebody. It wasn't like they just pulled me off the street and said, hey, you know what, go ahead, run wild, have fun, run the till, sell some fly lines, sell some fly rods. No, I had to make sure that I knew what I was talking about. You have to think that a fly shop, for the most part, they're a small business and they need to build relationships with people. They want to build relationships with people and keep them coming back to their store. Well, they're not going to do that by giving you the wrong information. They're not going to be doing that by, selling you some bogus set of equipment, right? The worst thing that you could do, especially if you're fairly new to this, is to just jump on Amazon, buy the first, kit that you can find and the first set of flies and so on and so forth and the first pair of waders. The reason is that it's probably not applicable to the fisheries that you're spending most of your time fishing, right? So when you go to a specialty shop, you're going to say, hey, you know what? This is what I'm doing. I'm spending most of my time fishing rivers that, the trout are so big, blah, blah, blah. They're going to give you equipment that's going to really help you. It's not going to hinder you, okay? This is where a lot of people miss the mark, is they just start with the wrong equipment. Okay, they start with the wrong equipment and it never progresses from there. And then I've seen people with really good casting strokes that have just the wrong equipment. I mean, the stuff they're using doesn't work for them, doesn't work for the type of fishing they're doing, doesn't work for their casting stroke. Okay, this is really important because specialty shops, they know what they're talking about. They're going to give you A, the right information, B, the right product, right? They're going to make sure that you're set up with stuff that's going to serve you over the long term. Now, I don't mean that you have to go remortgage your house and spend your life savings on getting yourself set up. What I do suggest is at least get something that's good quality right off the bat so that you're not going to be rushing back to the store in a month going, oh, I wish I would have upgraded myself. It's really nice to fish with good equipment. It is, and it doesn't mean you have to fish with equipment that costs a ton of money. It just means that it's nice to have good quality, something with a lifetime warranty, whether this is, whether you're shopping for rods, reels, lines, tippets, waders. I'm not saying you're going to get warranty on all these things. Waders, jackets, it's nice to start with the equipment that's going to serve you and it's going to really fulfill its purpose in helping you on the water bodies that you're investing most of your time. Okay, so I would skip over the quick fix of ordering, the $50 kit off of, xyz.com and really just go to a local shop and let them help you out. Okay, they're very diligent, they'll work with you, they want to see people succeed. I would hope. They want to see you successful in fly fishing. They don't want to give you, just what they have a ton of on the shelf. They want to really, really see a positive progression, because it's going to keep you coming back too, and it's a nice cycle. You're supporting, probably a local small business, but really you're getting the right equipment right off the bat. Okay. Number 2 is take a casting lesson. I wish that I could say how much value there is in learning fly casting from somebody who is qualified, who's able to teach you, who's certified, or who really, really knows the ins and outs of the mechanics of a fly casting stroke. Okay, fly casting doesn't have to be hard, doesn't take a lot of effort, doesn't take a lot of energy, right? But you really have to know a few key things. There's a few things that if you do understand these, it's never going to be a problem. And if you don't do these few things, or if you don't understand how these few things work, it's always going to be a struggle. And let's say as you progress, casting becomes like a weapon for you. The better you are, the faster you deliver the fly, the more precisely you deliver the fly. So really, just again, tell the people tell the person that's teaching you, say, and this a lot of times can be done through a lot of local fly shops, but say, hey, this is where I'm going to be spending most of my time fishing. Maybe you're going to be taking your first saltwater trip and you don't know how to double haul. Okay, this is really important, because if you don't know how to double haul and you get onto the bow of the boat and you can't cast, your guide is going to let you know. And most of the time they're going to let you know by asking, why didn't you learn this before you came? Okay, so this is something that even, let's say if I run a hosted trip somewhere tropical, which sounds nice right now as we're in the dead of winter. Let's say I'm hosting a trip somewhere that's tropical, let's say Belize, for example. And what I will suggest to everybody that's traveling with me, hey, take a casting lesson, study, practice. I don't care how cold it is, practice, because, and don't just practice the wrong things. Don't practice the same things that have built any bad habits that you might have right now. Practice based on the right information. Okay, this is going to make fly fishing just so much easier. A big one for me, let's say I'm guiding some people, and they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, I don't understand how you'd ever cast a 25-foot leader. And in 2 to 5 minutes, I can have them casting a 25-foot leader in no time, very easily. There's just a couple things that they have to understand. And so practicing the wrong thing that isn't really going to help, probably going to move you in the opposite direction anyways. So that's number 2. Number 3 is go on a guided trip. Like, this is something that I can't suggest enough, okay? Find a local guide, or let's say you're traveling somewhere. Let's say you're going somewhere you've never been before. I'll usually hire a guide for at least the first few days. It's really important to get that information and the local knowledge, because otherwise, you might as well just be going around blindfolded. And I know that some people would say that this is a, waste of time, or it's a waste of money, but it's I really don't think so. I think that it's very important to learn from somebody who, everybody's been in your shoes. If you're just starting, everybody that can teach you has been there already, right? And this is one thing to remember, is that you might be worried about, what are they going to say? I'm not good at this. Are they going to make fun of me? The answer is absolutely not. People that are further along than you are never going to be the ones that are going to criticize or ridicule you. It's their livelihood, it's their job, it's their profession, right? When I worked as a guide as my full-time thing, you don't ridicule people for not knowing. That's why you do it. That's why you go on a guided trip, okay? Is so that these people can help you. So don't be shy about this, especially if you're just starting. It's really, really important that you're getting the right coaching, the right instruction, the right teaching, and it's really going to shorten that learning curve even more. A big thing for me was steelhead fishing. I had a really hard time with it when I started, and I started going with people who knew what they were doing, and it was like, wow, this is how they fish the run. This is how they read water. This is the water they fish. This is the water they skip over. 1 8-hour day, 100% can save you 2 to 3 to 5 years off of your learning curve. 100%, absolutely. So I really do suggest, go on a guided trip, even if it's just 1 day, bring a friend. It's just a great way to get the right knowledge, the right information, and actually do some hands-on learning on the water. Okay, so these last two are going to help you with both fly selection and your fishing techniques, okay? These are going to help you catch more fish, which in the world of fly fishing is really good. Okay, so the first one is study fish behavior. Okay, study the behavior of the fish that you are going to be pursuing on a regular basis. So for me, let's say I live in the interior of British Columbia. I spend a lot of time on our trophy lakes. I spend a lot of time, I love chasing big fish. Okay, well, think about this for a second. The fastest way for me to understand how to catch more of them is to understand exactly how they behave. How do they feed? What are they afraid of? You know, who are their predators? What kind of water do they like? What kind of cover do they like? And of course, this is going to be different for every species you are ever going to pursue in your entire life. If I'm going on a trip, okay, if I'm going on if I'm going on a destination trip, I will do as much research as I possibly can. Okay, again, this is helping me in both fishing and choosing what flies I'm going to be tying, what flies I'm going to be, what flies I'm going to be tying, what flies I'm going to be bringing with me, what flies I'm even going to be purchasing, because we don't always have time to tie before a trip. And it's really important though that I understand, okay, how do these fish behave? I went, for example, last year to the Naknek River in, this is 2 years ago now. I went to the Naknek River in Alaska, amazing fishery, okay? Now I knew that we were gonna be trout fishing, but I knew that these fish are really big. You know, they average probably 7 to 12 pounds. I knew for sure that they didn't behave like normal trout did, so I did as much research as I possibly could, and I thought, wow, okay, they like to feed on this. It's not like you're sitting there with your 3-weight casting elk hair caddis, you know, against the bank. It's like we're swinging, you know, 12 and a half, 13 foot, 8-weight rods and sink tips. We're fishing all the same stuff we would for steelhead. So what really helped me on this trip was studying the behavior of these fish. What do they feed on? Where do they live? At what times of the year? Why do they come into the river? Everything that you can learn about them is really, really important. It's going to just help you create a bit more of a strategy rather than guessing your way through it and basing strictly off trial and error. Trial and error is great, but it's not a long-term strategy. Guessing is not a long-term strategy. Okay, and the last one is study the food sources of the fish that you're going to be pursuing. Okay, so whether you're lake fishing for trout, whether you're fishing for pike or muskie or bass or walleye, I mean, it really doesn't matter. Study the food that they like to eat. Again, if you're a fly tyer, this is going to help you immensely in creating patterns that are going to be representative of the food that they're going to be eating on a regular basis. But it's really going to just help you understand, okay, well, this is how I need to learn how to imitate these insects, these invertebrates, these bait fish. I need to learn how to imitate them because this is what the fish that I want to catch, this is exactly what they eat, okay? So it's going to help you in your fly selection. It's going to keep you from wasting money on flies you don't need. Okay, I've really downsized the amount of flies that I have over the years because there's a lot of flies that I used to carry with me and I'd be like, why do I even have this? It's not applicable, okay? So again, just to recap, you know, get your equipment from someone who knows what they're doing, knows what they're talking about. I suggest a specialty fly fishing store. The second one is take a casting lesson. The third one is go on a guided trip. Study the behavior of the fish you want to catch and study the food they like to eat. If I could go back, these are the first 5 things that I would do if I was just starting. Okay, so I hope that this episode was valuable to you. And in case you didn't know, we just put out a brand new digital journal called the Fly Fishing Journal. It's a fillable PDF that you can download to your desktop. You can keep it with you everywhere you go. And it's nice because I've shared this story. You can't lose it and you'll never have to buy another one. You just duplicate the file at the end of each season. It will really, really help you because journaling, if you haven't watched the episode on journaling, is really, really, really important. One of the most important things that you can do. So you can head to flyfishuniversity.com/journal. You can grab yourself a copy for roughly the price of a nice cup of coffee. I won't try to say that one 10 times or even twice. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday's episode of Q&A Friday.